know, I am the current executive director of Project Friendship, as well as I started This Is Me a couple years ago. And it's because of the kids that we have fostered that I started This Is Me. When Judy reached out to me to ask to speak tonight at this grant reception, she asked me to do so, not as an executive director of a nonprofit, but rather as a foster parent whose experiences build resiliency. Today is actually mine and my husband's 19th wedding anniversary. So it seems really appropriate that I be telling this story today. So tonight I'm going to take off my executive director hat and put on my mom hat, which is a little bit more worn and a little bit more wrinkled, but still a very, very good hat to have on. So 7 years ago, I looked at my husband and I said, I have an idea. And the fear in his face. It typically means when I say I have an idea, it's gonna cost money, it's gonna take a lot of his time, and he's probably gonna have to build something. So I said, I have an idea. What do you think about being foster parents? And we had talked about being foster parents before. It's something that we always thought about doing. We have 3 biological kids, and at that time they were 4, 8, and 10. So they were still pretty young, and so we always said we wanted to wait until our kids were out of the house so we didn't damage them. And then we realized we're older parents, and we're gonna be like 80 when they're out of the house, and it's never gonna happen. So let's do this. Let's just do this. So I don't think either of us knew what we were exactly getting into. Since that day, more than 30 children have lived in our home. People tell us all the time that we're amazing for what we do, but they are wrong. The most resilient people I've ever met are not my husband and myself. They are the children that come into this scared and alone and sometimes in the middle of the night. They are the ones that are the heroes. So I just want to share a couple of stories of these kids. The first one I want to share is about Adam, who was 4, and Amy, who was 8 when they came to our home. We typically get a call saying, can you take these 2 kids? We'll be there in 20 minutes. And we said yes. And what we didn't know, so what happened with these kiddos is, unfortunately, mom and dad were pulled over for driving under the influence here in Northfield. The 2 children were in the back of the car. There was a loaded handgun in the back of the car. It happened here in Northfield. They brought us these 2 children. What we didn't know is Adam's 5th birthday was the next day. And to a child, they're not 4. They're 4 and 99/100ths. That birthday is a big deal. But even more so to Amy, his sister, what we see is that these older kids take on that role of mom. And she wanted to make Adam's birthday special. And so they came at about 9 p.m. at night on a Friday night. His birthday was Saturday, so at 7 a.m., the only store that's open is Menards. So my husband gets in the car and we go, and they have that toy section. We bought him a couple action figures. My daughter, who was 10 at the time, helped Amy bake a cake. And they decorated it, and it was this masterpiece. It had, his name on it, and it had a big number 5 on it. And he cried, and he was so excited that somebody thought to buy him a gift. So many times these kids come to us, and people don't remember their birthdays, and they don't get gifts, and they don't get new things, and they don't get all this stuff. And so for these kiddos, in this time that their hearts were breaking, I don't care what these parents have done, they're still mom and dad. And these kids still innately love their parents, regardless of abuse, regardless of neglect, regardless of anything. They're their parents. And they're in a home that they don't know anybody, and we're celebrating their birthdays. And it was such an amazing time for our kids to see this as well. The other kiddo I want to talk about, I'm going to call her Mackenzie. She came to us when she was 11, and she came to us in the back of a cop car. She was in a different foster home. She had pretty much grown up in foster care. She had been in foster care for, oh gosh, she went into foster care when she was 2. She was adopted when she was 4 and underwent more abuse in that adopted home than she did with her original family. And she went back into foster care. She bounced around from home to home for several years and was kicked out of her foster home and came to us in the back of a cop car. And I remember sitting out front waiting for her. And the police officer brought her in, and we had actually done respite for her once before, so we kind of knew her. And I'm sitting on my front step, and she sits down next to me, and she puts her head on my shoulder. And I go, "Rough day, huh?" And she said, "Yeah." And that child was with us for 16 months. And I love this child. I love her so much. Our whole family does, and she really became a part of our family. She was adopted by a different aunt. We talked about a long time about adopting her. We're not an adoptive family, but sometimes it's really hard to say goodbye. And we talked about adopting her, and then we found out that she had an aunt that wanted her. And it was really hard, but we knew that that was the right thing to do. So we encouraged her. We met with this aunt, we did visits, we invited them over. We really, really supported this relationship. And her aunt adopted her. She's doing amazing. She is doing amazing today. And talk about resilience. Talk about resilience that this child has after all that she has been through. And she calls us all the time, and we still see her. She comes over every other month for a weekend, and she's really been a big part of our lives, and we absolutely love her. But I look at these kids, and that is resilience. To be able to have not 1, not 2, but 3 permanent homes, and to be able to trust again is the ultimate resilience. So these kids had every reason not to trust adults, yet they still asked me to tuck them in. That's resilience. Or the child that came to us with all of their belongings packed in a trash bag, yet they believed that this house just might be different. That's resilience. People always ask us how we managed foster care for 7 years. We're not done. There's going to be more kids, but it's been 7 years. How do we manage that? How have we managed that for 7 years? The truth is, we have a few mottos that we live by in our house. Some things that we say all the time, and I'm going to share those with you. Number 1, if we don't do it, who will? I say that a lot to my kids. If we don't do it, who will? Somebody has to say yes. Foster care isn't for everyone, but kindness is. I want to preface this by saying that not everyone is meant to be a foster parent. I truly believe that. But every single one of us is meant to make someone's world a little bit safer. Maybe it's in mentoring a child, or checking on a neighbor, or volunteering, or maybe it's simply noticing a person that everyone else overlooked. We all have opportunities to answer the question, if not me, then who? Everyone can say yes to something. Number 2, we can do hard things. We say this a lot in our house. We can do hard things, whether it's I'm helping my 14-year-old with his math. I really can't do that. Or it's, helping our 3-year-old to separate from us for a while. We can do hard things. The kids in our house, in our home, prove that every day. Going to another new school, meeting another new family, sleeping in another new room, starting over again. Adults call these small things, but they're enormous. Next one, number 3, is find your kindness. This started when my kids were fighting in the backseat of my car, and I tell them to find their kindness. Find your kindness, it's in there. I know you like each other, find your kindness. Kindness isn't always a feeling, sometimes it's a choice. Sometimes it's choosing patience when someone isn't easy to love. We had one little guy, Charlie. Oh, Charlie. He was 4, and he reminds me of the Tasmanian devil. I love Charlie. So we were invited to another former foster child's 6th birthday party. And it was at a pool at a hotel. And we went, and Charlie came to us earlier that morning. Charlie came, he had half a tooth in the front, the rest were rotted out. Severe neglect, and Charlie, boy did he have energy. At this birthday party, he ran around grabbing the cake off of everybody's plate and shoving it in his mouth. Sometimes these kids are kind of hard to love. It was at a pool. I can swim, jumps in the pool, he can't swim. So then I get wet, jump in the pool after him. As much as we love them, it can be really, really hard sometimes. Charlie only stayed with us for a week. Thankfully, his grandma had other of her grandchildren that she had taken in, and Charlie's was the next. And I should say, typically we take teens and tweens. I love those middle schoolers. They are my absolute favorites. And so when we have a younger one, I'm out of my comfort zone. I love those teens and tweens. Sometimes kindness is a choice. Sometimes it's choosing patience when someone isn't easy to love. Number 4, we also say a lot. They aren't giving us a hard time, they're having a hard time. We say this about our own kids, we say this about our foster kids, we say this about every kid. They aren't giving us a hard time, they're having a hard time. Behavior tells a story. Sometimes we need curiosity over judgment. Why are they acting this way? They're not giving us a hard time, they're having a hard time. And just that thought changes our perspective and brings in more patience. I often say that I have pulled patience out of places that I didn't know had patience. We've learned so much from these kids, way more than we can ever teach them. And it is an honor to be there when they're at their lowest, and to be able to see their resiliency and see them grow and thrive. And number 5, I'm fine. I'm fine, I'm fine. In our house, whenever something completely unbelievable happens, one of us usually just says, I'm fine. For which, for the record, means the exact opposite. We're not fine, but we're fine. So humor has gotten us through a lot. When people think about resiliency, they imagine superheroes. I don't. After 7 years and 30+ kids, I've learned that resilience isn't pretending that life isn't hard. It's believing that hard isn't the end of the story. Every child who's walked through our front door has changed me. They have taught me courage. They have taught me hope. They have taught me that resilience isn't loud. Sometimes resilience is simply getting up tomorrow and trying again. And tonight, if you remember one thing, I hope it's this. Every person you meet is carrying a story that you can't see. Choose kindness. Find your kindness. Because sometimes kindness is the very thing that allows resilience to grow. Thank you. Thank you for letting me share my story.